Okay, good morning, guys. So I'm obviously not here today, but we're gonna do the same thing I did last time I was absent. You're gonna watch the videos and fill in the lesson on your own. So we have numeracy like usual to start. Today is solving proportions, just like we've been doing with the ratios, solving proportions with two terms applications. So we're gonna use two terms. You're going to see the ratios that are familiar. We're going to use x again on either the numerator or denominator. And then we're going to use what we figure out what x is to solve another problem. So let's get started. You'll see what I mean. So we have Jada has cherry juice boxes and apple juice boxes. So those are your two terms. In the ratio of 2 to 3, Jada has 16 cherry juice boxes. Okay, so the ratio of cherry juice boxes to apple juice boxes is 2 to 3. So the 2 is cherry, 3 is apple, because it's cherry to apple. It's in the order that they say it. Equals, and then it says Jada has 16 cherry juice boxes. So it should be equal to the ratio of 16 to, we mark that as x because we don't know how many apple juice boxes there are. Okay, so now the hardest part is setting up what your ratio is, figuring out from the question what even is our ratio. Now we set the first numbers together. So we get 2 over 16 equals, and then your second 2, 3 over x. And now you do your cross multiplication. So you get 2 and x, 2x. 3 and 16, you're going to get 48. And then we look and we say, okay, what's happening to x? I want x by itself. What's currently happening to x? Well, x is being multiplied by 2. So I need to do the opposite operation, which is division by 2. But what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So then I get, okay, x equals, because those cancel out, 48 divided by 2 is 24, which means there are 24 apple juice boxes. So how many juice boxes in total does Jada have? Well, we know Jada has 16 cherry juice boxes, plus the 24 apple juice boxes that we just figured out she has, equals 72. So we do need our therefore statement. So here we would say, therefore, Jada has 24 apple juice boxes. And here we will say, therefore, Jada has 72 juice boxes in total. Okay, so we're doing the same thing we do. We set up our ratio, we then solve for x, but now that we've figured out x, we're going to use it to figure out our total. Okay, so let's do the same thing down here. So it says a jar of red and blue jelly beans are in the ratio of 6 to 5. Okay, so they've given us our first ratio, which is 6 to 5. If there are, so the 6 represents in order, so red and blue, red and blue. If there are 155 blue jelly beans, how many jelly beans are there in total in the jar? So we know the 6 represents the red because that's what was said first. The 5 represents blue. So we don't know how many reds there are, and we know there's 155 blues. Okay, so we have our ratios set up. We set the first two equal, so 6 over x. We set our, not first two equal, sorry. We set our first two together as a ratio, 6 over x, and then we set our second two together, 5 over 155 for your second ratio, or your proportion rather. And then this is when you cross multiply. So you get 5x equals 6 times 155 will give you 930. And then again, we look, what's happening to x? I want x all alone. So what's happening to x? Well, x is currently being multiplied by positive 5. So I'm going to do the opposite operation, but what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I divide both sides by 5. And I get x equals 930 divided by 5, which is 186. Now I'm not done because the original question says how many jelly beans are there in total? X just represents how many red there are. And they told me how many blue there are. So then I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to say, okay, well, I know there's 155 blue. And now I know there's 186 red. I add those together and I'm going to get 300, not 3, I'm going to get 341. So I'm going to say, therefore, there are 341 jelly beans in total. Okay, so you're going to do the practice on your own. I will upload the solutions, but you're going to do the practice on your own. Anything from today, just like normal from this week, that says practice is for homework. So you should have enough time to do this in class. Okay, so you're doing this one on your own, and then I will do the lesson video in a different video. Okay.